I'm trying to encourage a healthier approach to using PEDs for those who already do. Guys, if you don't already use PEDs, please do not. You don't need PEDs to get stronger.
Out of control.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. So on my IG story, I made a post saying that I'm going to go into depth about my healthier approach to PEDs as of late. So fresh off of a huge deadlift PR, I did 930 pounds or 421.8, let's say 422 kg deadlift for 3 reps from arguably a dead stop. I did try and dead stop with so much adrenaline. You know, it was like a half dead stop. There still was some momentum, to be honest. It wasn't like completely dead. It was like in between. It wasn't a touch and go. It wasn't a dead stop. It was right there in the middle. Anyway, that's not what's so important today. In the past, typically a cycle I'd run, I'm not going to name the compound specifically because I do fear that people watching this, not everyone, but some, will hear the compounds, call their drug dealer and say, I want this and that. That's what Larry took. I'm going to take it. So to keep things a bit more vague and trying my best to send the right message here to those who already are using PEDs, not those who are natural and are considering it, I'm trying to encourage a healthier approach to using PEDs for those who already do. Guys, if you don't already use PEDs, please do not. You don't need PEDs to get stronger, okay? Now that that's out the way, in the past, I'd run a cycle of several compounds. There's a couple specifically for strength that work extremely well and that most people in the strength world use as a bread and butter. I use those compounds for usually 8 to 12 weeks. So the first 2 weeks are okay, but each week that you're on, your body is enduring more and more stress, sides become increasingly more unbearable, and then especially the most effective ones, the most effective steroids for gaining strength unfortunately come with the most potent side effects. So under the guidance of a coach of mine, I'm not going to say exactly who, which one, I've had several coaches over the years. Under the guidance of a coach, I was advised to use testosterone just a bit higher than a TRT dose weekly for the entire prep, leading all the way up through the peak. So I was thinking to myself, okay, in the past, I've always used several compounds from the beginning of the preparation because I figured that's what was necessary to reach my goals, what was necessary to reach the PR I had in mind. So when my coach told me you can reach your all-time best with just 5 days as opposed to the usual 8 to 12 weeks that I would use these compounds for, you can imagine I was a bit skeptical. But I took his word for it and I did the entire 8-week prep for this 422 kg deadlift for a triple, which meant to only be 2 reps, by the way, on just, again, a bit higher dose weekly of TRT, just testosterone on that day. And the final 5 days, I used those extra compounds that are typically used for 8 to 12 weeks. And I was blown away at how effective this was, how effective this process was, because in only 5 days, you're not experiencing any side effects. You're not getting acne, insomnia, mood swings. You know, I'm just thinking of the worst ones that come to mind when you take various really potent steroids. You're not getting those really unbearable, annoying, and potentially life-threatening side effects with just 5 days of use, right? And now I'm thinking, okay, wow, I wish I knew I could do it this way a decade ago. It's a bit bittersweet that I'm only learning this now, 10 years after the fact of, you know, hitting my PRs and still making progress and having a successful lifting journey, but doing it, you know, in a much more unhealthy way compared to the way I just did it over these last couple of months. So there's a couple of other things I want to talk about besides it just being much healthier to run it for several days as opposed to several weeks or several months. And again, this I can attest works really well for gaining strength or hitting PRs. But if you're a bodybuilder, I imagine you need more than 5 days to have significant change in your body composition. With that said, before I started that 5-day blast of those compounds, there was a significant change in how full I was and in my body composition, as if I had been on for weeks. I was really shocked at how quickly everything worked and how much strength I gained and how much my body composition changed. Guys, you know what? If you want the scientific version of this, I'm sure more plates, more dates. Derek can definitely give you the legit breakdown and all the science behind it. I'm just here to talk from experience and try and pass on a message to those already using PEDs and how to take a more healthy approach if you're trying to smash a huge PR, if you're already taking PEDs. So one really important benefit to running it for a much smaller period of time, in addition, of course, it being healthier, is there is no temptation to go off program because the entire cycle you're not on these very potent compounds, right? You're just on testosterone, and you know that if you just went off program and lifted either for ego or social media, for example, or it's a PR is not going to come out of your ass. You know it's not going to be there because, of course, you're still going to make progress quicker than if you're natural, but being on testosterone and being on X, Y, and Z, there's a very big difference. So that temptation throughout this entire prep just wasn't there. It was so much easier to just stick to the program, even though it was a bit mundane and repetitive and boring. To be honest, I started 8 weeks ago with 180 kg deadlifts, and then we only added 40 kg each week. So you can imagine it was very monotonous, and I was very eager to lift heavier and make, hit a PR. But it wasn't so much to the point where I was like, okay, I woke up one morning because I know I have all these drugs in my system and I know if I wanted to PR today, even though I shouldn't, just making examples of myself in the past, I could. Hence why so many times I go off program. And it would be a gamble because when you go off program, typically you're not supposed to and your body's not ready for it. So your chances of getting injured are much higher than if you were to listen to your coach or follow your program and do the PR attempt when you're supposed to. So there are dozens of benefits. I'm sure I haven't even thought of all in these last few days to taking these compounds for just several days as opposed to several weeks or months. But off the top of my head, in the last couple of days of thinking about it, those were the things that I think made the biggest difference, of course, of being healthier and just eliminating that temptation from having all these extra compounds in your system. So there was just no temptation to go off program. And going off program, again, it's a gamble. You may hit a PR, you may get hurt. And beyond that, even if you do hit your PR, you 100% are going to peak early, okay? And if you're on PEDs, chances are that you're competing, right? You're either at a world-class level, a very elite level, you have something on the line, something very important you're competing for, and you're taking these compounds for, right? I doubt, most of you watching taking PEDs are taking it just to have a better beach body. I'm sure a lot of people watching my channel are very serious about strength training, very serious about hitting PRs, and eventually chasing world records. So you're going to go off program, and you're going to peak too early, and you're going to ruin your on-day competition performance. You should never feel worse or more beat up at game day than in training. But for me, over the years, I have had not the best discipline, and I have several times gone on a program, and then I always feel so beat up, CNS fatigue, drained, by the time I get to game day, and still would manage to do what I needed to do, but in the back of my head, I know it still could have been so much better had I just not had that temptation, not had felt like Superman the whole 2 or 3 months of prep, and I had gone into game day fully recovered, fresh, peaked, and not only that, but you'll also go into game day with confidence because you know that you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing, you haven't gone off program, your body is fresh, you haven't missed any lifts, a lot of this is speaking from experience, but I know a lot of guys on PEDs who make the same mistakes I do for the same reasons. It's what we're talking about, very powerful compounds, and it does get the best of us, sometimes. The ones who can overcome that, more kudos to you. If you can run PEDs for several months and then you can stick to your program and you can smash world records, you can, feel, you can peak when you're supposed to. Like, ideally, that's the way it's supposed to go. But now I'm thinking, okay, let's rewind. Had I just done the way I did it the last couple of months, just a 5-day blast as opposed to what I used to be doing, I'd be so much, even though I'm healthy today, I'd be that much further ahead. So without rambling too much, I think I already started rambling a little bit. Let me wrap this video. I hope it's been helpful to some of you. Again, I was skeptical at first. 5 days, really? Like, am I going to make that much progress, get that much stronger in just a few days? But yes, absolutely. I did all the training. I rested well. I ate well. Did everything right. And I just took the PEDs when I needed to take them, when it was absolutely necessary. And I got incredible results. I was only supposed to go for 2 reps, and we both thought, my coach Mark and I, maybe we should go 410, 415, and again, it was just a blowout day. So I was really happy with that and how I got there, most importantly. On that note, please comment below your thoughts about all of this. Like, subscribe. Derek, if this video got back to you, please make a video explaining the science behind this. That would be awesome, because I like to know for myself, because this is just me speaking from experience. On that note, guys, I'll see you very soon. I'm building back up again from scratch. Basically, 8 weeks ago, starts today again for another several weeks. And Middle East Strongest Man, I'm coming in August. See you soon.